Well, hi there. Welcome to Chess-Based Workshop. I'm Steve Lopez. Thank you for clicking the link and joining us. We've been looking at endgames a lot lately. That's what we've been dealing with in the last couple of workshops. Practicing the endgames against Fritz. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing about Fritz. Fritz has a couple of really great purposes. One of them is as an analysis partner. Basically, you have Fritz analyze your games and show you where you went wrong. The other thing is as a training partner. Back in the day, again, back in the dark ages before computers, when we were still wearing bearskins and making things with stone knives and stuff, whenever you wanted to practice an endgame, you basically had to corral one of your friends into playing the other side of it. And after you've done the same endgame 2 or 3 times, that friend may not really want to be doing that anymore. So you always had to have somebody cooperate with you. Cool thing about Fritz is Fritz never complains. You can play the same endgame 100 times against Fritz, and Fritz doesn't care. So one of the things you can do in Fritz, and we've looked at this before, of course, is if you go to training, you can click on endgame training, and you get a whole list of different endgames that you can practice against Fritz. And there's about 2 dozen or so of these. But it's limited. I mean, there's about 2 dozen endgames. But there's tons of endgame problems and endgame positions out there. So what if you want to create your own endgame database? It's not hard to do. It does take several steps to make that happen. So I'll show you today how we're going to fool around with this, how we're going to make that happen, how we're going to create our own database of endgame positions. Now, in theory, you could add games directly to this particular list, so you would have a longer list with more stuff in it. And I recommend you don't do that. And the reason why is because if for whatever reason you have to reinstall Fritz, you have to uninstall it, reinstall it, whatever, you wind up losing that work. Because the database may get overwritten as part of the uninstall, reinstall process, and the stuff that you've added to it would be gone. It would be overwritten by the original version of this database. All this is, by the way, this endgame training is just a special database. It's all it is, and you can make your own. And that's what we're going to do today. First thing you want to do, I just want to show you this, actually. This isn't part of the process, but I want to show you, if you go to the application menu, and you click Options, and you click, there's different tabs where you can go look at different things. If you go to the Training tab, Endgame Training is right here. This is the location of the database that gives you that list of endgame training positions. It's in, now it may vary from computer to computer depending upon what version of Windows you're running, etc. But on this Vista computer, of which I am the sole user and not networked, it's under C, Program Files, x86, Chess Base, Training, and it's called endgames.cbh. Notice though there's a browse button, and there's the important clue. If you click the browse button, it will allow you to pick other databases to use for endgame training. So now we can create our own. We're going to leave this alone. We're going to come back to it. We'll leave this alone right now. First of all, I want to create a new database. Now, I've already done it. I'll show you the steps, but I'm not going to create another one. I've already started one. But if you click on the application menu and select New Database, you get our friend the Windows File Select dialog that comes up. It allows you, if you click on Computer, you can go to any drive, any folder, just drill down to the folder you want to put it in. I put it in the same folder, which was the chess-based training folder. I named it Endgames 02. All you have to do is drill down to whatever folder you want to put it in, and then come down here and change New Database to something a little more relevant. So I called it Endgames 02. That's it. And then click Create New, and you've created a database. I've already put one position in. I'm going to show you a trick. This whole video is going to be full of tricks. To put a position into this database, okay, what you want to do is, very simply, go to the Insert menu up here at the top and select Position Setup. Now, what's interesting about this particular position that I have picked is that white can win in this position regardless of who moves. At least according to the book that I'm using, white can win. So what I did was I set up this position and I saved it with the name King plus Pawn versus King plus Pawn, position 1, white. Okay? However, if I want to do this again with black to move, there's a trick to it. I'll show you the trick. If you go to Position Setup, what it will do, if you go to Insert, then click the big Position Setup button, it always goes to the position that you already have on the board. Notice over here side to move, very important, because what happens is when you're in endgame training, you're always going to play the moving side. In other words, whoever set up that position, if it's set up with white to move, you're going to play the white pieces. If it's set up with black to move, you're going to play the black pieces. Okay? Well, we've already got it with white to move. We want to set it up with black to move. Now, don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do a position from scratch as well, so we'll come back to that in a minute. But this is cool, since we've already got the position set up, and we've already got it in the database once as white to move, and we want it with black to move, all we have to do is just click black, click OK, and there we go. It says New Game. Then to save it, we just come up here, and we go to Save. Now I'll show you. I can't show it to you because it's a keyboard trick, but I can describe it to you as I'm doing it. I want to have the same notation in there. So what I'm going to do is hold down the Control key and hit the letter K on the keyboard, and we get a king symbol. Then plus, and then hold down the Control key and hit the P for pawn. King plus pawn versus Control K plus Control P. This is going to be position 2. And then afterward I type in the word black, and that's just a notation so I know it is black to move in this position. I don't really care about year, month, and day. Doesn't matter to me what day I put it in here. Click OK, and now here it is. And if we hit F12 and go to this database, by the way, here we go. There's white and black, so we've put those two positions in. Now we want to put another position in. So we go back to our main chessboard screen, and we're going to go from scratch. This is going to be a completely different endgame setup. In case you heard a rattling, a scraping sound there, that's me putting my glasses on. I'm going to go back to the book that I'm using, and I'm going to put in the next position. So we go to Insert, Position Setup. Now the next position's got nothing to do with this one, so we click Clear Board to get rid of everything. Click on the king, white king, we'll put him here. Then I'll come down here and right click to put in the black king. Then we need pawns. So we put a pawn here, and then right click to put a black pawn here. And that should be it. And then looking in the book, again, this is important, make sure you get the correct moving side, the correct side to move, white. Yep, according to this book, white has the move in this position. We click OK. We go up here to Application menu, select Save, and we have Control K, king plus Control P pawn versus Control K plus Control P, whoops, position 3, and it's white to move. There's a reason why I'm doing all this. I'll show you here directly. Get rid of the date because I don't care. Click OK, and if we go back to the game list, here we go. There's our game list, and the game is in there. Now, we want these to be endgame training positions. When I go to endgame training, I want to be able to play against Fritz in these positions that I have input. How do we make that magic happen? I'll show you how to do that next. Go to the application menu, come down here to options. Go down here to endgame training. Notice that the default is endgames.cbh, which is what came with the software. I want to change it to the database I've created, endgames02. So I'll click Browse, endgames02.cbh, click Open. And now if we double check it, sure enough there's endgames02.cbh. We'll click OK. Now when we come here to training and we go to endgame training, there's our 3 positions that we just put in. And notice that when I look at these, turns out that I can't use the little Control K, Control P. It doesn't recognize it in this dialog. So I'll show you how to change that as well. But here it is, king and pawn versus king and pawn, white. Then if we click here, black, click here, there's our other position. So we know whose side it is to move. We get a view of the position. And there it is. That's all you need to do. Now let's say you want to change this. Let's say, okay, since it wasn't picked up in this dialog, which I didn't know, how do I change this? How do I change the game headers? Well, that's pretty easy to do as well. Cancel out of that. Come back down here and go to our game list. Highlight a game. I can hit F2 on the keyboard, which I just did. The other way to do it, by the way, a little more visual for those of you playing along with the home version, is if you right click and come here to edit game data, it does the same thing. And I can go back now and make that a K and a P and a K and a P. Leave all this alone, everything else is fine, click OK. And we just do the same. Told you this video would be full of tricks. Backspace P. We'll leave the other one. I'll come back to that later just so I can illustrate how this looks different. Then we can go back to our main chessboard screen, go to endgame training, and now here we go. What this does, it tends to put them in alphabetical order rather than in numerical order or the order of the database. And since the high ASCII characters apparently come before the capital K, that's why they're in the wrong order. So no big deal. We can always go back and, like I say, we'll go back later and we'll fix this one and they'll appear in the correct order. But I just want to illustrate the difference that makes. That's why some people do like to use the figurines in game headers, and I tend to not do that. And that's the reason why I wanted to illustrate that as well. There are cool tricks for using figurines. For example, if you open up an annotation window here, you can hit Control K, you know, blah, 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 bishop, blah, 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 knight, and that's fine. But then if your game notation, you know, you'll click OK and it'll appear in the notation. But then if you change the font to something that's not a figurine font, those things may appear as high ASCII characters. That's why I generally don't fool around too much with that. Instead, I like to use capital letters, but I did want to demonstrate that as well. So there you go. That's how you create an endgame database. And now you can just click on endgame training, go to a position, and just click OK, and then practice it, play it out against Fritz. And it will play the endgame perfectly, by the way. You'll see all the legal moves. You'll see the ultimate result if you play it properly. You may want to close the engine window because it is absolutely giving you little tips here. If you look ahead, you can find out how to play a particular position. So you may want to keep that closed so you're not seeing what the computer is thinking. But notice that as you make a move, Fritz will immediately follow up with something else. I probably just messed this up. Yes, I did. And then I get stuck because now it's going to be a draw with perfect play. Notice over here what Fritz is telling me. I played the wrong move. This is why we practice endgames. If I was playing this in a tournament, I would be very bitter right now. So this is exactly why I'm creating an endgame training database, so I can practice endgames against Fritz. It's that simple. It's not hard to do. It does take several steps. Go back, watch the video again, and you'll see how to do this. Till next time, for Chess Base Workshop, I'm Steve Lopez. Till we meet again, friends, please do have fun.